Please welcome to the stage Shrikant Gokulnath.
Good afternoon. I hope all of you are having a great Oracle AI world. I'm here to talk to you about how we are infusing AI into our analytical applications. One of the challenges that I've seen, I've been doing this for 25 years now, building analytics and analytical applications, is we build this really advanced and sophisticated applications and solutions that you deploy. And yet the usage seems to be rather low, right? And so the true value of these applications don't get unlocked. And that has been sort of the promise of data democratization. And what I believe is by infusing AI into analytical applications, or for that matter, any analytical solution, you can really get users to operate at a much higher level of effectiveness and productivity, which I think is a real unlock to getting more users benefiting from these applications and really making all of your analytical deployments successful. So that's the idea we're going to explore over the next 40 minutes or so. So before I actually get into sort of some of the AI sort of components, let me just quickly introduce what Fusion Data Intelligence is. Many of you are already customers, but many of you might be new to FDI. So what FDI is really a set of prepackaged analytical applications that obviously sit on the Fusion, on top of the Fusion data. And the value proposition is that for our customers, this is a really quick way to deploy analytics on top of Fusion data to all of your users. And so they include a full data model across all of the Fusion modules that is populated by data pipelines that are pre-built and that we run to hydrate those data models. There's a full semantic layer that we build for you, and then really a full set of reports and dashboards. And in some cases, we have some machine learning models and AI models as well. So all of this is pre-packaged for you. So obviously, the value proposition is you can kind of deploy these very quickly, and the TCO is really low. But it's also built on a platform. And so the beauty of being built on a platform is that each layer that I just described, the data sort of pipelines, the data model, the semantic layer, the reports and dashboards, all of those can be extended by you, right? So you get something out of the box that you can then extend to suit your own unique organizational needs, which is, in almost every case is what our customers do. So you probably heard yesterday, before I actually dive into some of the AI capabilities, I talked about the broad and wide coverage. So we have over 2,000 metrics, dashboards, KPIs across ERP, CX, supply chain, HCM. And again, as I mentioned before, fully extensible. I won't go into this in great detail. We do have a great community site. I'll mention that towards the end, show your QR code. But there's a lot more detail about all of this that you can find very easily. So yesterday, if you attended the session that Juan Loaiza and TK Anand did, we talked about the Oracle AI Data Platform, which really is a way for you to organize all of your enterprise data and then in a data lake, and then layer on AI capabilities through a very easy to use sort of developer environment, a developer workbench. And so that obviously is a great benefit to our analytical applications, because what we're going to be doing is really adding sort of those capabilities into the platform that I just described. And so what this means is the rate of AI sort of innovation you'll see in our analytical applications is only going to accelerate. So as part of that, we're actually going to rename Fusion Data Intelligence as the Fusion AI Data Platform. I may use those two terms interchangeably, but really the name going forward is the Fusion AI Data Platform. So let's sort of maybe dive a little bit more into sort of the AI capabilities. So I want to maybe lay out three principles that are really guiding us. The first one is really about how do you make users use analytics much more effectively? How do you make them smarter? How do you make them make better decisions faster? And so in the past, if you wanted to do more advanced sort of forms of analysis, you had to be an expert. If you wanted to use an analytical tool, you needed to know the data concepts, you needed to know sort of the more complex functionality that exists in those products, and often that became the domain of a data analyst, right? And when I look at the analytical applications that we provide through FTI, the context of that is really for a business user and in the context of a domain that they're trying to sort of do the analysis in. And so again, by making things much easier, which now we'll show you how we're doing that, we make it really easy for any user to really operate at the level of a data analyst, right? But using sort of almost like natural language type conversations and really sort of very sort of simplified experiences. So you can still get the power of operating at a very high level, but without having to do the upscaling that you would expect if you use a sort of a more traditional approach. The second aspect then is how do you sort of get insight from a large volume of data, right? And that becomes sort of the second problem. So all of us know that data volumes keep increasing. And so often the challenge is really to distill the things that matter, the insights coming out of those systems. And so again, AI models are really effective at doing that. And so if we can weave those very easily and transparently in these applications, you can get sort of more guidance. And so really the challenge is how do you extract signal from all the noise? And that's exactly what AI can help us do. And the sort of the other benefit we have is we do understand the business context in which sort of the analytics lives. We understand the underlying Fusion applications. And so when we build these models, we are able to weave that context into these models so that, again, the insights you get are truly like meaningful. And then the third bit, which is really important, when I think about sort of a hierarchy of needs, right? You take data, you want to create insights, and that's really what a data analyst does. But the next step then is, if you think about what a management consultant does, they often synthesize multiple insights into a really powerful recommendation. And so with modern large language models, the latest generation, they all have reasoning capabilities. Obviously, they have access to world knowledge. And so you can bring all of those best practices that either exist within your organizations or that obviously exist in the broader world in the context of the insights. And so you can get to sort of the system recommending courses of action. Often the system is smart enough to actually go through multiple chains of analysis automatically for you and really surface those recommendations. And we'll show you some examples in a moment. And so what we're doing is we're taking all of these sort of capabilities and in some cases weaving them sort of agentically into what we're calling intelligent apps. We'll show you an example of that. And so what this does is really focus the user on insights, recommendations, and actions rather than having to do sort of the manual sort of data analytics. And so what you then get is really guidance. You get to the next best step rather than having to sort of churn through lots of reports and dashboards and data. So this is a journey we've already started on. Those of you that watched my session yesterday from Oracle Analytics Cloud know that there's a ton of innovation that's happened in analytics that leverages AI. And if anything, the pace of innovation is accelerating. And what the market recognizes it, when you look at the different leading analyst firms, they all kind of rate us as a leader in analytics. So when you use one of our analytical applications, you can be sure that you're using sort of the state-of-the-art analytics technology. So let's maybe, before I dive into my sort of first demo, let me state the first problem we're trying to solve, which is sort of what I described on the very first slide, which is there's a great need for analytics, and yet the big barrier is most users really don't know how to analyze data, right? And they often end up talking to someone else with a higher skill set to do the things that they would like to get done. But then you have to do all of this in the context of your business. So it's really you want to do sort of more advanced analytics. But for people that use our analytical applications, the context is very well defined. So you want to do all of that sort of more advanced work, but you want a starting point that's rooted in the kind of analysis the business user wants to do. So let's see how that might work. And so let's maybe roll our first video.
Alex, a procurement director at electric appliances company, is always seeking profitable growth. With Fusion Data Intelligence, he uses AI-driven insights to uncover savings, evaluate supplier performance, and increase compliance. Alex logs into the Procurement Analytics application in Fusion Data Intelligence. Alex sees a complete view of spend. At the top, it shows a total spend of $1.35 billion in the fiscal year 2025. Alex navigates to the total spend by cost center view. He notes that limited number of cost centers are responsible for over 50% of the overall spend, with 2 cost centers, corporate marketing and warehouse operations, accounting for more than half of it. He clicks on the spend categorization view. Spend categorization is crucial for improving visibility, driving cost savings, ensuring compliance, and enabling strategic supplier relationships. With this dashboard, leaders instantly see where money is going and how well it aligns with budget expectations. Now, Fusion Data Intelligence also includes a spend analysis AI assistant that helps Alex dig deeper, simply by asking questions in natural language. He starts with a simple question. What was the total spend for US 1 business in 2025? Now, breaking it down by quarter. Noticing the spike in Q1, Alex asks an additional question. Provide the top 10 spend by categories in 2025. He now wants to do analysis by looking to the Maverick spend. From this view, Alex sees a large amount of non-agreement spend tied to specific categories. This represents spend leakage and a major opportunity for savings. He drills deeper to see the supplier information. Alex clearly sees suppliers where non-agreement spend is high. This highlights an opportunity to potentially consolidate contracts, reduce leakage, and evaluate relationships. This is Fusion Data Intelligence with the power of AI Assistant, turning natural language questions into instant, actionable insights, empowering faster, more confident decisions.
So notice that that was just a conversation with your data, right? And so a really easy experience for any business user to do it. This, by the way, what you saw is in limited availability now. So if you're a customer and you want to try it out, reach out to us. We'll be happy to set you up with it. So a lot of potential with AI. I love talking to our customers because I learn so much from them. They have really good sort of plans on how to roll some of this out to their end users. So to talk to a few customers and to lead a discussion, let me invite Rich Clayton, who's our VP of Product Strategy. Come on over, Rich. And I think we would love to hear to hear our customers talk about what they plan to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Srikant. Great to be here today. Thank you so much for joining us here. It's really a pleasure to host you here at AI World. Hope your conference is going great. Each of you have different stages of your analytic journey, but I think in knowing you for many years, you all have wonderful points of view that I can't wait to jump into and share. So I'd like to just first start by level setting in terms of where each of you are, and we're going to start with Mayo. Met Andy many years ago, and in my many years in the industry, I've never seen a project at scale in launching analytics inside an organization. I wonder if you could just start with sharing how did you get there, and what are some of the lessons learned?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for having me here. Thanks for having Mayo part of the session and for the partnership. We wouldn't have done it without, of course, that. But Mayo Clinic went live, excuse me, in about 6 months from the point we signed the contract to production. And that certainly would not have been possible without a close partnership at that time of, I don't know that we were considered an early adopter, but it was earlier in the system at that time.
Yeah.
So certainly a close partnership with Oracle, a great implementation partner. It was we went live with PwC, and then we brought to bear some pretty strong resources, and that was technical, both technical and functional from the domains. So the domains really led the project. So that's how we got there that quickly. Now we did customize 2 subject areas that serve now over 2,000 leaders at Mayo Clinic prior to that go live. And so I would argue that we could even have gone faster than we did. because inherently, FDI delivers those curated data sets.
Awesome. Thank you. So going from healthcare more to consumer goods. Antonio, you know, I worked with Bimbo for 25 years, and arguably you operate one of the most sustainable, largest supply chains in the world. And I know you've been a great partner of ours in trying to improve operations through analytics, but maybe just share a little bit about where you are in your journey today.
Yes, absolutely, Rich. Thank you for the invitation. And this has been a fantastic journey to start with. Not a pain-free one, okay? So we started doing the implementation of Fusion in 2018. That seems like a long, long time ago. Yes. And we're basically through at this point with our 245 bakeries in 39 countries. Now we have, for the first time, a lot of different businesses coming together, being able to talk the same language through the same way of looking at business. And this completely changes the game. Because in the past, everybody had their own story, their own piece of the story. Now with FDI, you can look at it the same way, and you can still let people go and do the specific analysis for their own opportunities. And that is great, because everybody's different, everybody's at a different stage, and you can go as granular as you need it. So this is fantastic, and we can't wait on what we're going to be doing with the new level of artificial intelligence and this new common data structure.
Awesome, thank you. Appreciate that. So moving to retail, who doesn't love Lowe's? I mean, really? See?
Thanks, Rich.
Lowe's has over 2,000 stores, 34,000 products. I did the math. If I looked at every product for 1 minute, I'd have to stay in the store for 27 days. I think I'm very close, very, very close. I'm a loyal customer, Kathy. Very interesting story in connecting analytics with operations, and maybe just share retail operations in the store, maybe share a little bit about where you are in your journey.
Absolutely. So thanks for the Lowe's plug there, Rich. Appreciate that. So for us, we're pretty early in our journey. We went live in May with the Fusion platform, ERP, financials, procurement, EPM, ARCs, and of course FDI. So for us, for the last 2 years getting to this point, so we're excited to be here, which means we went live. But the things that we've done since then is getting the data more democratized, right, across our enterprise. We have a lot of enterprise users. You talked about operationally in the stores. So we've leveraged OTBI, BI Publisher, lots of different tools to get the data out. But the one thing that we did to empower some of the pricing decisions, to your point, in the stores was connect our cloud to cloud. So we are a GCP, we have our data lake in GCP, and so it was important for us to get all of our ERP data down to that. We call it our Enterprise Financial Data Platform, EFDP. We put an acronym on most things. And so it was really important for us to get that down so that that analysis, those analytics can be done to drive those pricing decisions in the stores.
Awesome. So thank you for that. I mean, certainly it's inspiring to see customers use products in ways that you hadn't anticipated and be challenged in positive, constructive ways. Each of these folks have really provided a great valued partnership. So if we go back to healthcare for a second here, 1 in every 5 patients that you serve is either uninsured or on Medicaid, and I'm quite certain analytics is instrumental in helping serve that mission. Maybe talk a little bit about the journey we've started a few years back together.
Yeah, absolutely, Rich. Thank you for having us and the commitment to co-innovate with us, right? Ascension's vision statement is answering God's call to bring health, healing, and hope to all, right? Our mission is rooted in human dignity. And to me, analytics is driving that mission forward, right? Analytics is about decision-making, faster decision-making. And I'm going to throw out another metric here. Analytics also helps us get the right data at the right time in the hands of our leaders. It increases the probability that the data that we put in front of our leaders, in front of our caregivers to make decisions is accurate, right? That's the power of AI, right? In our journey over the last 5 years in Ascension, we've established a really robust sort of data infrastructure. We called it the healthcare data intelligence, right? I've got some team here that I'm really, really excited to have. And so we set that up. And we moved all our EHR data, our revenue cycle data, operations data into one existing platform. Yep. We are really excited for Fusion because we will go live in next year, fall of next year. So as we go live, we will have all the ERP data, all of that coming and marrying with the data that we currently have. And then that opens up a whole new world of decision making that just stretches across the ERP, the EHR, revenue cycle, external healthcare benchmarking data that we are getting together.
Love it.
That's the journey we are on.
Love it. Yesterday, you brought up in our one-to-one about being a thought partner. I thought that was a very interesting term. I really appreciate the opportunity there. Maybe say a little bit more about your view on how AI can help improve the analytic process. We know about Fusion and knowledge agents to automate process, but role of AI and analytics.
Yeah, we have 4 big objectives. We really want to reshape clinical care, quality, safety. Right? That's our bread and butter. We want to enrich the associate experience. Right? We want to accelerate all the operational processes. And then when you think about the consumers, we want to just personalize how we acquire them, retain them. And what I mean by all of this is when you think about patients coming through to our hospitals and the clinical care, we want to make the administrative burden on our physicians much, much less. We want to give time back to our nurses so they can actually be taking care of the patients. Right? We want to find the right care for our patients, and AI really helps us match that. Right? When I say productivity for associates, I really mean giving time back to the associates to do the things they are passionate about and the things that they are skilled for. Right? Yeah. And then when you talk about consumers, it's really, if you come to our website, you want to find what you're looking for. You're at your most vulnerable when you're looking for healthcare. Right? We want AI to help ease that burden, find the right care for them. Once you're in our walls, we want AI to get the throughput really fast, your length of stay. We want you to be back with your family, right, faster and spend less time with us.
That's fantastic. And you've been a real driving force for getting AI in our products for a couple of years now. And so maybe talk a little bit about how you see it and what the opportunity is for getting AI more embedded into the experience.
Yeah, I would echo a lot of what Karthik you just laid out. But it's really when we first saw the value and the potential, frankly, that was 2 years ago. It was rolled out to OAC, Oracle Analytics Cloud. Right. When you say I was an advocate, I think that might be a nice way of saying I may have been impatient about that coming into the FDI platform. But ultimately, the reason I was so passionate about that at the time is because I knew, and we at Mayo knew, that if we could put AI directly into the hands of the end users, business decision makers, a lot of which are the same folks Karthik just talked about, it takes that friction out of it, and every minute that we can spend on patient care and not on trying to wrangle an answer, obviously meets our mission at Mayo Clinic of the needs of the patient are the only needs to consider, or the needs of the patient come first.
Cool. Very cool. Kathy, Antonio, something to add in this topic?
I think for us, just catching our breath from go live, what we're super excited about is, number one, everything that we've seen and heard this week. And I think just, having the connections here, talking about the use cases, talking about what's possible. We're looking at some things in Q4 around AI assistant and FDI for our accounting organization, obviously. So, I think for us it's just really kind of catching our breath and taking these things and taking them to the next level, and we're learning our way into those things.
And in our case, we were used to driving only looking at the rear view mirror. Now we can see miles ahead under any kind of weather with very, very fine level of detail. And that makes all the difference.
Love it. Thank you all very much for your partnership through the years. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Lot of great future ahead of us. Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's move on. Very strange statistic. A lot of companies doing AI initiatives, many of them feeling like they're not getting enough value, right? And one reason is that in order to do AI effectively, you need sort of the right data to do it, right? And so we obviously in FTI, we get all of the Fusion data in, but often there are data sets outside. So for instance, in the area of HCM, there might be like survey data or benchmark data you want to bring in. There might be unstructured documents and a lot of other sort of forms of data that you want to bring into the system. And as I mentioned earlier, the AI data platform makes it really easy to bring in. What we can then do once we have all of this data is we can apply the reasoning models that I talked about to get to better recommendations, but also be able to do what we call deep analytics, which is really not just answer the superficial question. Often these are deterministic questions like, how much did my supplier kind of spend, for instance, change from last quarter? But then you can ask open-ended questions, and that's the beauty of like deep reasoning models combined with deep analytics. And we'll show you an example in a moment. And so if you can get all of that data, you can then start building these agentic applications, and then you get really a very tailored sort of experience for the end users to perform a set of really related tasks that have very kind of concrete business outcomes. I said we could bring in external data, but we also have the ability, because we have access to a particular customer's data, to enrich that data and derive sort of insights. So one form in which we do that, and this is now available in the product today, is to really do benchmarks. So for a particular customer, if you're using our HCM, HR analytics product, what you can do is really have us sort of create benchmarks from your data. You control it. You have sort of configure it the way you want. But then this allows you to sort of have different sort of business leaders look at relative performance, maybe learn best practices from each other, and really kind of provide you a baseline and get onto a culture of continuous improvement. So we have benchmarks for sort of various categories: attrition, team composition, recruiting efficiency. So if you are one of our HCM analytics customers, I do encourage you to look at it. So that, now if you take all of this, now that lets you sort of get to a really different experience than what I showed you before, which was really about how do you make users sort of more productive. But now you can get to a sort of a much higher level of kind of efficiency and sort of have users not just act upon data, but actually make better decisions and recommendations. So let's roll the next demo, which really shows all of this in sort of a context of an HR sort of user. Or a people
Across
leader.
industries, leaders lack connected insights into people, operations, and finance. AI and analytics are more critical than ever, giving leaders visibility to drive measurable outcomes while managing costs. Dr. Zoe, head of Riverside Medical Center, opens the People Leader Workbench. Embedded in the Workbench is the Workforce Investment Agent powered by AI Data Platform. The Workbench presents a connected view with data from HCM, finance, and several PDFs with unstructured surveys. She sees that payroll is up 12% year over year, while revenue growth is only 2%. Contractor spend at 19% of staff is higher than the 12% benchmark. This signals strain for her teams and margin pressure for her CFO. She drills deeper to further understand the drivers leading to this increased spending. She notices the highlighted ICU unit where payroll has unexpectedly spiked. The data view is now filtered just for ICU. While overtime and contractors are directly driving increased spend, early exits, surprisingly, has also surfaced as a top driver. The Workforce Investment Agent also shows peer benchmarks to help Zoe understand how she's faring versus other centers. 24% attrition is above peers, leading to overtime and contractor reliance, based on details extracted from unstructured survey PDFs. Dr. Zoe asks the agent, why are ICU nurses leaving? And AIDP synthesizes the data from multiple sources. The agent analyzes data from HCM, ERP, and multiple unstructured surveys and answers that shift volatility, low recognition, and burnout rather than pay are the main drivers. She selects a proposed follow-up question. Which ICU shifts experience the highest volatility? The agent highlights nights, weekends, and back-to-back rotations as the highest risk areas, with source references visible. She asks for the financial impact of fixing recognition and scheduling. The agent simulates a drop in attrition, about $1.7 million in annual savings, alongside a projected reduction in patient complaints and lower error rates. People benefit, operations improve, and finance sees a clearer return on investment. Assured by the deep analysis, Dr. Zoe is ready to take actions. She asks the agent to recommend a solution. The agent proposes 2 plans outlining the cost and benefit for each. From the list of suggested actions, Dr. Zoe focuses on Plan A to optimize shift scheduling, which should reduce attrition and increase clinical hours. She shares the plan with her team along with the CFO and Chief Nursing Officer. After discussing the details with the team, they're ready to take action. She invokes Oracle HCM Cloud's Shift Scheduling Assistant to create and manage employee shift schedules, enabling more optimal coverage and accommodating individual preferences. The Workforce Investment Agent initiates and displays the detailed action workflow and highlights the current status. People Leader Workbench, powered by Oracle's AI data platform, unifies data and delivers deep analytics so leaders can reason, simulate, and act. It turns insight into actionable plans and drives execution through an agentic workflow, improving experiences, protecting margins, and building sustainable growth.
So it's a really compelling application, applies to really all people leaders, not just the HR function, but how do you bring finance into the mix, look at the impact of all of the decisions you need to make as a people leader. So that's sort of a more agentic use case. But it's going to take a lot of knowledge to how to deploy all of this effectively. So to lead a panel of experts in various forms of AI, let me invite back Rich to just introduce our expert panel and to talk to them about how we can sort of roll this out in your organizations. Rich?
I think I have one of the best jobs in the world, to be able to meet with people I've known for literally 2 decades, people I've known for 2 months, and Brendan, you're kind of in between, maybe 1 decade and a half. What I liked most about what we just saw was not just that you could have a conversation with data, but that it challenged through deep reasoning questions that you weren't asking. And that's, to me, the true hope for AI in the context of analytics, not just answering my questions, but challenging me to reflect and ask harder questions or questions that I didn't think about. So we're going to talk a little bit here about some of the obstacles that we see around the industry, and delighted to have a panel of experts here to share their perspectives. So first thing I think is what we are seeing is what I call POC fatigue. Lots of projects get moving and they don't make it to production. And there's many reasons for that. But Sid, if I could start with you, we'll just talk a little bit about what is preventing that? What stands in the way? If data is the center of AI, then how do we get it more ready for an agentic world in the future?
Absolutely. I think if you look at artificial intelligence today, there's a lot of focus around intelligence. Everybody's challenging a model for solving the next exam, but one overlooked factor is context. The context window of these models is the real limiting factor now. And the best way an enterprise can handle that is to get organized and organize their data, federate their data into a consistent mechanism, such as AI Data Platform from Oracle. AI Data Platform, for example, will combine your Fusion, your FDI, and various other data sources, including third-party data sources, into a single interface, which therefore preserves context for the agent to do the valuable work that the enterprise is looking to do. So first step is get organized. Then the second step is to realize that this is a multi-agent future. You have to use agents that are skilled in specific topics to solve very specific problems. Don't be just, tossing the agent decision off to the side and say, we'll pick another model tomorrow. No, you have to be very focused and thoughtful. And that's, again, where AI Data Platform has done some good work, where they basically surface the right models to intersect with that data and most importantly, provide a vocabulary and ontology for how to access that data and join it together and federate it together in the right way.
Well, very cool. Thank you very much. Great perspective. You could tell we have a lot of new energy and new ideas in the product team. Rich, you've been around our business for quite a long time and been an amazing partner to us going back many years. So thank you for that. What's top of mind for customers in this context? Like, what are they focusing on? What are they asking you about? What's happening?
Yeah, well, first, Rich, you've been a friend and colleague as well for many years, so thank you, thank you. But, you know, a guy from Boston, I've got a complaint. Before we get started, I've got a complaint. The makeup backstage was great. Loved it. Now I know what foundation is all about. I'm good, right? But here's the problem. I asked for the hair. I was told no.
Nothing.
Come on.
I'm sorry. That's MVP plus one.
Yeah,
sorry.
exactly, right? So it's actually a great question. And in all seriousness, you and I have had this conversation for a lot of years kind of thinking about it. When we think about it, it's like the art and the science. That's kind of how these types of things are done. There's an art to it and there's a science. And we, as SIs, as consultants, as engineers, have spent a lot of years focusing in on how to engineer the ecosystem of Oracle. And so we've been focusing on the science of it, and 80% of our work has gone into the science. But as you heard Srikant, and I'm sure you've seen, like, things are changing. There's an evolution, there's a transformation. We need to really start to change our thinking. And a lot of clients are now asking us, how do we find value? How do we find benefit? How do we realize all of this? So a lot of the work that we're doing now is transitioning from that discussion around and the work around engineering to really focusing in on the art of it and what it actually means for our client with all these things that you keep hearing about. So that's really what a lot of the work is happening right now.
Thank you. Thank you. I just noticed, look at their socks. They all have nice socks on. I have boring blue ones, but they all have very nice socks. I don't know, did you guys coordinate, or was that after the makeup thing, or what?
I'm good with mine.
Okay, so I want to transition to my favorite part of AI, and that's the people part. And Dr. Davis, great to have you here. You have been a visionary in this space for many, many, many years, and started the MS in Analytics at Cal Poly. It's a nationally recognized program. I'm proud to be affiliated with it. I love your passion, and I love how you develop the next generation of leaders in our industry. It truly is inspiring. I have a chance once a year to visit the campus, see our students in action, and get to understand their thinking and ideas. So maybe why don't we just start with, how are you preparing the leaders today of the future, and what's sort of the top of mind in terms of the skills that you think are critical to succeed with AI?
Yeah, that's a great question, Rich, and thank you for your involvement in our program, chairing our board. And the students really love interacting with you, and they're never bored with anything that you do. I would like to say that I have students, I'm dealing with the next generation, and they're wondering what's happening in the future, and they ask me, what should I major in, or what should I study in? And I always tell them, of course you have to do what you're passionate about, but you need to find something that provides value to others in the future. And what provides value? Things that are scarce, right? Silver prices are really up right now. Why? It's scarce. And so I think what's happening with AI in terms of scarcity, what's gonna happen over the next few years. And it really makes me think then that human intelligence is what's going to be scarce, right? And so we're gonna rely too much on artificial intelligence. And so I tell them, you need to learn how to drive AI. You need to be the one who is thinking about the decisions that need to be made, the metrics that we need to measure, the baselines, how to communicate the outcomes. You have an opportunity for higher order thinking on top of all these technology advances. And so that human part's important in the way that we're driving AI. Something happened recently where I got a car that has self-driving mode, and I was so enthralled with it's all AI, right? And I'm the driver, so I'm telling it where to go. But what happened is, in discussion with my son about the dangers of AI and how focused it is on just doing tasks, I actually decided I didn't want it to go on a toll road because I didn't want to pay for it. And so I turned it off, the self-driving, but then I just turned it back on, and it knew where I was trying to go, and it actually turned me into the off-ramp. It actually turned me going into the exit as we were coming off. I had to take it out of that and swerve around. And it struck me as being such an analogy to this human aspect of what we have to do. What are the guardrails? Who gets the AI? It's certainly not going to be my 16-year-old son anymore with that self-driving mode. What can I do to change things when things aren't going right? And then on top of that technology, just the human skills. Sure, our students are learning machine learning and MLOps and RAG and MCP, all the great things they need technology-wise, but they need the soft skills on top of that. They need to know how to speak in public. We get them in front of people a lot. So really, that's I think, the future that's happening as an example in our program, Rich.
I have a lot more questions, but I guess we're not going to have a lot of time. But one follow-up question is, leaders, okay? Leaders, what do they need to do different here? People that are managing agents and people, like, what should they be doing different?
So I'll just answer this from a student perspective, but I think that it translates to leaders. Try it. Try AI. See how it's failing you. Do crazy things with it. Push your own boundaries. And in that, you're going to learn what you can do and to expand your own leadership in that role of leading AI. And then I think another thing, too, is educate yourself about what's happening. Find someone who is going to send you a weekly email, or some Ethan Mollick type of a person that's going to help you on a weekly basis, and force yourself to read what's happening with the very latest on a regular basis.
Thank you. So Rich, closing thoughts on, how should people be embracing AI in the future? What closing counsel do you have on this? Because obviously this topic is changing constantly, right? And we're all reading about new advances and new thinking. So how do you advise companies on?
I'm a little off on that question, because all I can think about is being a student in your class. That's all I can think about right now. But I think a couple of things, maybe to kind of close this out, two things. I think, coming from the world of consulting, I think what you need to expect, you as our clients, as our colleagues, you need to start expecting that your SIs, your consulting firms, we come in with a consultative mentality and approach in how we move forward, and less of an engineering mindset. The engineering, a lot of that work is going to be taken care of by Oracle. I think the last thing that I can say, maybe to put a bow on this, that I think is really important, as you embark on this journey, and many of you are embarking on this journey, under-promise and over-deliver. I can leave it at that. I think that's probably my piece of advice.
Sid?
Stop doom scrolling on LinkedIn. There's a polarization I see in AI today as to whether AI is going to take over everything, or AI is going to be a complete failure. Ultimately, AI is a tool, and humans can control that tool and drive an immense amount of productivity. Put it into every aspect of how you think about your business. Enable your individual contributors to use it, and let it organically grow within your enterprise. Stop looking at AI as a topic or a project or an individual thing. Look at it as just yet another tool that drives an order of magnitude productivity improvement for your business, and let it flourish within your organization.
I've learned a lot just in this short time together. Formal welcome to you, Sid, to the Oracle family. We're delighted to have you here. I'm sure I'll learn a lot from you in the future here. Brennan, Rich, Sid, thank you so much for your comments and time today and perspectives, and appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So just before I wrap up, there's a program that the product and engineering team sponsors. It's called the Sprint Innovation Trial. So if you're not already an FDI customer, but you are a Fusion customer, we offer the opportunity for us to run a POC on your behalf on your data. It's sort of a 2-week program. And there's no better magic than seeing insights pop out of your data, right? Rather than sort of some demo environment. So if you're interested, there's a QR code. Really no cost to you. We'll run it on you. And our confidence comes from the belief that it's really a prepackaged application, should be up and running really, really quickly. So do try it out if you're not already an FDI customer. And finally, just some sort of the summary. Really complete suite of packaged applications. We are infusing that with AI. All of your FDI data becomes automatically available in the AI data platform with a single click of a button. So it's really a zero-copy architecture. So if you're an FDI customer, you can begin to take advantage of AI data platform right away, start building agents on your own over and beyond what we might provide as part of the product. So a few things before I wrap. We are really proud of our customer community. We have over, and partners. We have like over 1,000 members, 100,000 members as part of the community. It's a great way for us to interact with our customers and partners, but also a great way for you to interact with each other. There's a lot of learning that happens across the community that doesn't involve us. So I do encourage you to become part of the community. There's a QR code on here. Definitely sign up if you're not already part of it. We just sort of scratched the surface of what's possible. There's a lot more sort of exciting demos, both in the sort of Fusion Data Intelligence, Fusion AI Data Platform, demo pods in the expo floor. There's a fun foosball table. I encourage you to go visit, talk to our team. So thank you for joining us. And the road ahead is really, really exciting. And I think there's going to be a lot of innovation coming from us along this front. Thank you.